For years, it's been a big dream of mine to get to go to Star Wars Celebration. I am a massive Star Wars fan, and I've always thought these looked so cool to go to. It just seemed like the ultimate Star Wars fan experience. And recently, I was able to live out that dream because my dad and I got to go to Star Wars Celebration for the very first time. I had watched some of the previous celebrations that had been streamed on YouTube, so I kind of knew what to expect, but I didn't know what it was truly going to feel like until I actually got there. It was just so surreal, just being there with so many Star Wars fans, and not to mention the cosplayers. They were amazing. Like every direction you turn, you'd see a Captain Rex or a Darth Vader. It was super cool. And right off the bat, one of the first things I got to check out was this Mandalorian exhibit that they had set up. They just had a bunch of Boba Fett and Mandalorian merch and props and art from over the years because Mandalorians have such a rich history, and I really enjoyed seeing all that they had. And right after that, I also got to go to the Attack of the Chords panel, where David Collins, one of the sound designers for Lucasfilm, talked about the music for Attack of the Clones. So that was pretty awesome as well. Honestly, one of the coolest parts from Celebration was just getting to walk around the main area and seeing all the cool stuff they had out there. There were people selling stuff. There were displays for props and costumes. There were sections for certain companies to advertise their stuff. Lego had one. They had some sets on display. I even got to see some of the newest sets that are going to come out pretty soon. And it pretty much guaranteed that even if you don't get into any of the panels, you're still going to have a great time there. But I got into some panels, and I will get to that in just a bit. Another really great thing to see when you're just walking around is that you could see a lot of the actors and other celebrities at the autograph booths. Like, even if you didn't sign up for an autograph, you could just walk around that area and see a ton of them. I thought all those areas would just be closed off until you actually get an autograph from them, but nope, you could just walk over there and take pictures and see, like, hey, look, there's Anthony Daniels, there's Carl Weathers. It was super awesome. And speaking of Star Wars actors, I already covered this in a previous video, but a highlight of the trip was getting to meet D. Bradley Baker, the voice of the clones from the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch. I brought a Lego 501st Battle Pack for him to sign, and I got this picture of him holding one of my business cards. I was giving a couple of those out during the convention. So that by itself was already amazing, but D. Bradley Baker wasn't the only actor that I got to meet there. I also met Sam Witwer. He is the voice of Darth Maul from the Clone Wars, as well as Starkiller from The Force Unleashed, who is on this picture that I got him to sign. And we got to talk for a couple of minutes. It was so cool. Sam knows so much about Star Wars, and I love that he'll just start talking to you about this kind of stuff. Like, he started talking with me about Proxy, the droid from Force Unleashed. I think we just got into a bit of a Force Unleashed conversation because of the picture I chose. In addition to seeing the actors at the autograph booths, I also got to see quite a few at the live stage. They had a stage set up at the front for the official streams to like YouTube and other sites, and every now and then they would bring a celebrity on and do interviews with them. And I got extremely lucky with the interviews I got to see. Like, most of the time, I just happened to be walking by the stage, and they would announce someone coming on, and I was like, oh, I gotta go see that, and I would run over there. So I got to see Ian McDiarmid's interview. I got to see Ashley Eckstein's interview. I saw Ron Howard. I saw Sam Witwer and Matt Lanter. And I got to see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor's interview.
This is where the fun begins.
So in total, I think I saw around 30 celebrities at Celebration, and most of those were from being around the live stage and the autograph booths. So that was something I never expected to see. It was really cool. All right, now I've got to talk about all of the panels that I saw, because that was a whole nother miracle that I wasn't expecting. Beforehand, I saw some people online saying if it's your first celebration, don't expect to get into that many panels because you don't exactly know what's going on, and it's a complicated process. You gotta know to get in the right lines at the right times. So I was just hoping if we could get into two panels throughout the whole trip, I'd be satisfied. Well, we got into like two panels per day. It was insane. I could not believe how lucky we were. But it did involve waiting in a lot of lines. We really had to plan ahead and wait for a lot of these panels, and thankfully it worked out so well for us. So I already mentioned the Attack of the Chords panel, but we also got into the Attack of the Clones panel, sort of. We didn't get into the main stage, but we did see it on the smaller stage where they were streaming it. I don't think there was anything there that we saw that you two can't see because they put the whole thing up on YouTube. But it was just really great seeing all of these people there talking about this movie that I love. We also went to this collectors panel where a few people who collect official Star Wars movie props talk about how they go about tracking this stuff down and making sure they're authentic. It was some fascinating stuff to see. We got to see the Mando Plus panel, and that one was at the main stage, so that was really awesome to see everything there. And of course, it got even better when they brought Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau out. It was great to see them. They talked for a while about The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and the Ahsoka show that's coming out. Every now and then, they would bring out a couple more of the actors and they would kind of talk about their involvement in these shows. They did show us a couple of trailers, but they didn't want to put them out in public yet, so we weren't allowed to film those. But there was a trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3, and it looked awesome. I really enjoyed that, and I really hope they will release that for the public pretty soon. We went to a smaller panel about Star Wars trailers. I didn't get any pictures of this one, so I'll just put something else up on the screen. But they basically just talked about the evolution of Star Wars trailers from over the years, and they showed us quite a few, some from the originals and the prequels and a few other ones. But yeah, it was really interesting to see kind of the change in the styles for the different trailers from the 1970s to nowadays. I also didn't get pictures for this next one, but we saw the Tales of the Jedi panel. We got into the smaller stage for that one where it was being streamed, but Dave Filoni was talking for a while and showed us some stuff for the new animated show Tales of the Jedi that's going to be coming out sometime, and it looked really great. I mean, we have some familiar characters coming back, like they showed some stuff with Dooku and Qui-Gon and Ahsoka, so that's going to be really cool. It's like basically some more Clone Wars stuff, some more another Clone Wars spin-off. So I'm really excited for that. Then on the last day of celebration, we got into the main stage again to see the Bad Batch panel, where D. Bradley Baker and Michelle Ang, the voice of Omega, and some of the show's creators talked for a while about season 1. They did a script reading for some of the lines from season 1 with Dee and Michelle. It was really cool to see how Dee could switch between clone voices so quickly.
What do we do?
What about Plan 7?
Plan 7 has nothing to do with this situation whatsoever.
Well, what, you think of something then?
And then they showed us a trailer for season 2, which was actually different than the trailer that they put out for the public. I thought that was kind of weird. But this one that we saw featured a lot more of Commander Cody. Like, they made it pretty obvious that Cody was going to be in the show, and I'm really excited for that. Once the Bad Batch panel was over, we stuck around the main stage to see the Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore screening. It wasn't anything new, they just showed us the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars. I just really wanted to be there to see these episodes on the big screen. I just thought there's no better place to see some of the best Clone Wars episodes ever made. And then afterwards, they did a quick Q&A with Dave Filoni and some of the creators, so that was pretty nice to see. So that was all the panels we saw. I didn't put them all in order of when we saw them, but it was still crazy how many we actually got into. And then another cool thing we went to on the third day was the Mandalorian Experience. It was pretty much just an exhibit of a bunch of props from The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. It was crazy to see how much stuff they had there from the two shows all in one place. All the props and costumes look super detailed. They had a ton of stuff you could get an up-close look at, like the weapons. They had Mando's Naboo starfighter at the center of it all. We got to see some stuff like a bantha. They had the absolute legend Max Rebo there. We got to see Frog Lady, Dark Troopers, Cad Bane, Bo-Katan. There was so much cool stuff there. But by far, the greatest thing I got to see throughout that whole exhibit was Trapper Wolf's uniform. Oh my gosh, it was so cool to actually see it in person. Like, look at that helmet with the Wolfpack logos. I love it so much. So yeah, going to that exhibit was certainly a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. And for the rest of the convention, it was pretty much just walking around, looking at cool things, meeting cool people, seeing the cosplayers, like, Wilro Hood, the guy in Empire Strikes Back holding an ice cream maker. A bunch of people dressed as him just ran by at one point. On one of those days, I kind of just hung around the live stage for a while. That was when I saw the Ron Howard interview, but I also saw they did some reveals for some products for Galaxy's Edge and some other advertisements, I think. At some point, they were playing the Lego Skywalker Saga video game, and then the Wilro Hoods invaded the stage, which was pretty funny. But yeah, there were a ton of cool things to do there. A lot of cool things to buy. Quite a few of them were either too big or too expensive for me to take home. But I got some stuff. I got a couple action figures and some shirts and a couple other things. Ultimately, this was just one of the coolest things I've ever done. I would totally go back to another one, but probably not the very next one because it's going to be in London, and that would be hard for me because I live in the US. But I would totally recommend going to a Star Wars celebration at some point if you're a huge Star Wars fan like me and you have the time and money. It's just a super fun experience. And I usually don't like being around large crowds, but there's just something about being around all the Star Wars fans that made it really great. I gotta give a huge thanks to my dad for setting all of this up for the two of us and for helping me plan out what we were gonna do for each of our days there. I also want to thank all the actors who were there, especially the ones who I got to meet. Those were some of the coolest experiences that I had there. Thanks to all of the celebration hosts and the staff, the exhibitors, all of the cosplayers, and the fans. If you're watching this, I imagine you're a big Star Wars fan as well. So thank you to every one of you who makes the Star Wars fandom the coolest fandom to be a part of. I know we Star Wars fans sometimes get a reputation for being divisive or whatever, but at Celebration, everybody just kind of got along regardless of what Star Wars stuff they liked. And, we may not all agree on what kind of Star Wars content is the best, but as long as we respect each other's opinions and just enjoy being Star Wars fans, I think that's what matters. And that's why I love being here on YouTube, is because I can share my love of this amazing franchise with all of you through my videos. And that's what I'm going to continue to do for as long as I can. So I hope you all enjoyed this video of my experience at this awesome convention. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And may the Force be with you. Always.